Hi there. Welcome to week 4. I wanted to give you another brief introduction. This time I'm coming to you from my office. So now you've seen me at home and in my office. Between the two places, that's usually the only places I am. The next 2 weeks we're covering chapters 4 and 5 in your Babbie text and the information that goes with it. Last week you had an introduction to terms like units of analysis, ecological fallacy, reductionism, different time frames in terms of research. This week we're going to get much more in depth into those things. So hopefully you feel comfortable with those terms and you'll feel good about getting involved with that. Excuse me, my hair is all crazy. Been walking all over campus all day. Okay, just to recap a little bit, we've spent the last few weeks talking about ethics in research. Talking about the difference between science and other types of inquiry. I want you to remember all of those things as we move into designing our research, actually making a plan for research, because they all are an integral piece to it. In any kind of research, so you come up with your idea, you have a question you want to ask, you have to have a systematic plan for how you will answer that question, and that is what your research design is, what you're learning how to do in this class. So we're starting to get into the meat of the matter. A plan is necessary before any observation or interpretation can take place. It is absolutely positively the very first thing you have to do. Whether you're doing it, even if you're doing, okay, let me start over. If you're doing a thesis or a dissertation, of course you have to turn in your proposal because you have to get your committee to agree to it. Even though I no longer have to have a committee agree on what I'm doing, I always still begin with that in mind, my plan, my proposal. Anytime you write a grant, you have to have your proposal, your design and methodology well laid out, and even your plan of analysis, how you will analyze these data and interpret them. So first you have to specify clearly what you want to study, and then you have to determine the best way to do it. The Research Cafe this week is an article that I published based on some of my dissertation data that really shows the difference between how methodologies can influence your data collection. The results you get, even just the way you ask the question, can influence the findings and what you'll uncover. And I hope that you'll visit the Research Cafe and read that article, even if you don't choose to post this week, so that you can get a clearer picture of what I mean by that. Just by asking the question in different ways, we had different results from the same sample of people. Very interesting. So be sure you visit there and check that out. You're also going to get more in-depth discussion about what units of analysis are, about the different purposes of research, exploration, description, and explanation. And I think the book does a really good job of explaining those to you. You'll also hear about nomothetic, I can never say that right when called upon to do so, explanation and ideographic explanation. And again, I think the book does a really good job of explaining those things to you. And you're also going to hear about the criteria for causality. And those criteria are correlation, time order, and non-spurious. The book, again, does a really good job of explaining those terms. And so I want you to concentrate this week on Chapter 4. Look at Chapter 5, of course, but the quizzes and stuff like that will be coming mostly from Chapter 4 this week, because I really wanted you to have time to space it out, to really think about it. Your book will also go into how to design research, and this is so important. I encourage you to just read that and read it over and over again, because that's what you're going to do in this class. That is what your proposal will be. How do you design research? How do you do it? And then, of course, we also have readings from, we also have, I'm going to look at the syllabus real fast and make sure I'm telling you the right thing. You have readings on Blackboard, supplemental readings that are there for you, that also have to do with design. And your IRB certificate is due this week too, on the 17th. So make sure you have your IRB certificate to me. Most of you have already turned that in to me, either by fax or putting it in Blackboard. But if you haven't done so, make sure you get it to me this week. So concentrate on Chapter 4, skim Chapter 5, read Chapter 4, skim Chapter 5, and then read Chapter 4 again. Really concentrate your focus this week on Chapter 4. And really get to know what a unit of analysis is, and work on identifying what those are when you read articles. So when you're reading, for example, in the Research Cafe, when you're reading my article this week, what were my units of analysis? What were my independent variables? What were my dependent variables? What was I trying to measure? And what did I think would be influential to it? Think about, was it exploratory, or was it descriptive, or was it explanatory? These are just things to be keeping in mind as you're trying to go through. It's good practice to just sort of always try to identify what's the unit of analysis here, what's going on. So hopefully last week was a nice time for you to sort of make sure you understood what we were doing before and to get an introduction into what we're going to be doing now. And as I said, concentrate on Chapter 4 this week. That's where the bulk of the quiz questions will come from. And really make sure you understand those terms, because if you don't understand these terms that are presented to you in Chapter 4, nothing in Chapter 5, Chapter 6, and on will make sense to you. So make sure you get this stuff and you understand what they are. And if you have questions that you think would benefit everybody, please feel free to post them on the Q&A board. If it's something that's private in nature, especially if it has to do with the quizzes, like don't tell the answers to quizzes on the boards. If you have a question of that nature, feel free to email either myself or Alan, our GA, to get the answer for those questions. Continue to work hard. You're doing a great job, and I will see you online this week. Have a good one.